It's getting more and more familiar. Welcome. So on one side we have more time for questions, on the other side we can also be interactive. I have bad news and the good news. The bad news, I will not go into the details of quantum physics, and the good news, I will not go into the details of quantum physics, because it's an extremely complex field. Who has ever looked up or investigated around quantum cryptography? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. It's fairly exciting. You find a lot of information on YouTube. One recommendation, if you want to go a little bit more into the details, will be a YouTube video called Quantum Computing Animated. Really nice little feature, gives you a little bit more details. Anyway, one of the important things in security or in the encryption space, and we'll continue on the speech that we heard before, is the importance of keys, or basically how to protect them. They must be unique, they must be truly random, and they must be securely exchanged. And this is the challenge in cryptography in general. A little extract, probably most of you know that, but here a summary on the different techniques. One is the symmetric key encryption, where the encryption key and the decryption key in a session, and we're talking here about the transport layer, not the storage encryption and not the application encryption that we talked before. So here it's only about the network, so the keys are the same on one end to the other. The benefit, it's simple, it's fast in terms of performance. The risk is how do you get one key securely from A to B, and we'll get to that, and also the damage if a key is captured or compromised. The use scenario is data encryption key, and the flows that can be encrypted today is up to about 10 gigabits per second. It's increasing as we see more and more speed on the network. Asymmetric key was invented to find a solution on the transport or exchange of the keys. Asymmetric keys, where you have a public key and a private key, makes it easy if you lose one key that you can still continue the communication. RSA developed the technology, the PKI, the public key infrastructure. The major advantage is the convenience, it's simple, but the major risk is slow, and from our perspective the major risk are quantum computers, and I'll get into that. Some of the facts that we all know, because that comes into the question, why do we need something like this in terms of protection? We know through Snowden and in the industry for years that all the data is being actually captured, and even if it's encrypted, it's being stored away until the day that people or organizations or governments can decrypt it. So that makes it a challenge in the sense of the data that you transport over the network. How long does the data need to be protected? And I'm getting back to this as well later on. We see an extended use of asymmetric key exchange because of the convenience through PKI, RSA systems, and the classical public key encryption is, as I mentioned, is at risk because of the quantum era. So, the risks that we see today are in three areas. One is the brute force attack, where you throw a number of computers against an encryption key and try to resolve it through mathematical or computational data. This is increasing. There's a Moore's law that actually is a factor in that. This morning I saw on the news in Switzerland, maybe you've seen that as well, that a master student at the EPFL in Lausanne has developed an application, an Android application that you can load up onto your smartphone, and creating some sort of a smartphone net that will actually allow everybody who actually loads this application and engages on it gets a piece of the calculation to attack encryption keys. Interesting things, and you will see more of these factors where the computer power starts to be increased to attack these specific keys. The technology leap that you see in the middle here, this shows the curve of when which size of key, RSA key, has been decrypted. So it starts with 256 here. We're currently, until 2010, we're in the area of attacking the key length of 1024 RSA key lengths, or public key lengths. And with the advent of the quantum computer, we believe this will exponentially grow. And I will show the details why this is happening. A wild card here is the mathematical progress. We all know, someone mentioned to me the other day that actually Albert Einstein is about 100 years old, but his evolutionary and revolutionary theories still hold on. And there are some bright people out there. Someone may wake up in the morning and have a brilliant idea on how to crack the code or encryption code. So we don't know about this. And also we don't know about some of the mathematical, the computational difficulty of factoring is basically unproven and could harbor undetected flaws. So there are certain uncertainties in these technologies. So when do you have to start worrying? And the calculation is fairly simple here in this formula. It depends on how long do you need the data to be secure. For example, if it's a 1 month or 1 day security that you need to achieve, you don't need to worry. But if you have something that goes 5 years or beyond, that you need to keep the data secret, mostly this is for banks and government organizations, you might have an issue. The theory says, and I'm getting into more details, that probably quantum computers able to crack code will appear in a commercial way, and probably non-commercial in government organizations in the next 5, and then you go up to 20 years. So if you have data that has to remain secure a number of years, then you have to think about, okay, how long does it take to actually reinstall and reintegrate or reassure your network security? And this is typically, it takes 2 or 3 years to do that, depending on the size of the network. And when does a quantum computer going to be built? So if you add up the data, if x plus y becomes larger, then the quantum computer will pop up. So then you have an issue today because of the data that is being stored in the NSA databases. Simple formula, but it explains, and this is how I explain to people coming to us, that basically the calculation is yours and the risk management is also yours. Some of the signs that were recorded, or what are the signs on the wall where you have to be worrying about something happening in the quantum computer side? To me, you see more and more articles appearing in daily newspapers, on television, on radio, about the advent of quantum computers. One of the signs is in quantum computing you talk about qubits, quantum bits, not about digital bits. So today you have D-Wave that sells a computer which has 128 quantum bits involved, and they're announcing basically a 512-bit computer. That's not really dangerous at this point in time. But if you go beyond that, on 1,000 qubits, then you really have to be worried. So if D-Wave or another organization is announcing a quantum bit computer of that size, it becomes dangerous. And the bad news is you won't know, because probably the first one will be inside a government organization. And as you see, there's tons of money being thrown against it. Amazon is investing a lot of money. Google is investing a lot of money. The Chinese are, and the Americans are. The other one is the RSA 1024 has been broken. That will be a sign. Right now, you see the code was cracked with 768 bits around in December 2009. The NIST recommendation already is by the end of last year not to use a 1024-bit key length, going beyond that. And the University of Michigan reported that they have had a successful side channel attack on the 1024. That will be another sign. Another element is what I mentioned today. You have netbots or smartphone networks that are being created that actually take on so large computing power that actually some code cracking could happen fairly quickly. And as I said, I think you're at risk if you have data that needs protection more or longer than 5 years. You need to think about that. So when does a quantum computer appear? Our organization is a spin-off of the University of Geneva, of the physics lab in there, and we have all the founders and the CEO are coming out of this organization. So we understand the research development and where the research is. That's pretty public. You can see and read that, what the other institutions are working on, and then consequently say, okay, where are we? And it's understood that we are basically here in the creation of logical memory with longer lifetime than physical qubits. It's an abstract term. But there are 7 steps, and we're in the middle. And things are developing faster than we think. So fault-tolerant quantum computation will be the key. And the only reason for a quantum computer actually is code cracking. In an article in Spiegel, someone gave a pretty good example. If I give you a phone number, and I give you a phone book, excuse me, and I'm asking you to actually look up the name that corresponds to the number, you and I and a digital computer will go page by page in a sequence. A quantum computer will go through all the pages simultaneously because of the quantum physics principles. I'm not going to go into details, but these are the things that are happening. A quantum computer is not very good at financial calculation or bookkeeping or whatever it is. It's basically perfect for optimizations, and it does one thing which prevents code to be cracked today. It does the factorization of key. You know that the asymmetric keys is a multiplication of basically prime numbers, which the defactorization or putting it back into the elements is difficult to do. A quantum computer can do that quickly. There's the mathematical side talks about post-quantum cryptography, because mathematics also evolve. And basically we believe that a mixture or security level of mixing post-quantum cryptography with quantum key distribution would be important, or protection. Quantum key distribution is the correct word for quantum cryptography. It's always misleading. The quantum cryptography will take away the existing, what we know as cryptography. When you speak about quantum cryptography, it's the only thing that you do is a secure quantum key distribution based on quantum physics. I'll get a little bit into an example after that. This is actually shows a system. Basically, if you take out these 2 boxes right now, you have a classical encryption environment or network environment which can use encryption devices on both ends, going over fiber optics cable, which are multicolored. And if you add the quantum distribution, you basically add 2 boxes, left and right, and you need a separate quantum channel, a dark fiber for that. What's happening is that this system will generate quantum keys based on quantum random number generators, and we'll send it over this cable to establish a connection, a safe connection. Once the safe connection is established, the key will be entered into these systems, and then continue to make sure that this is actually, it can assure that it's secure. An interesting side effect of the quantum channel or of the transportation here, if someone comes, an eavesdropper comes in here, touches the photon, it will actually break the communication, the whole system will stop. This is not possible today with classical cryptographic solutions, because you will never know if an attacker is downloading your data. With this is a side effect that you basically do that. An interesting environment for this is, for example, military applications. You eliminate what we call the man in the van. Typically, armies in the world produce their keys. Then they have a driver that takes the whole key set, however it is, and puts it into a van and sends it over to the next guy. That's always a man in the middle, so a danger point. And with this, you basically eliminate this. One of the challenges here is the physical requirements. A wavelength that you throw over the fiber optic cable has a certain distance where it can travel, where it's still recognizable as a signal. Right now we talk about 50 to 80 kilometers, so it's perfect for metro area network and storage area networks, but it's not necessarily perfect for long distance data. That's something that we are addressing as well, but it has an impact. I explained earlier that there has been a test between some of the Canary Islands from one island to the next island over the air, a signal exchange based on quantum cryptography or quantum key distribution, and they were able to achieve a longer distance. It's also possible to go onto a satellite. That's possible as well, because then as soon as you leave the atmosphere, which is around, what, 25,000 kilometers or something like that, or even higher, there's no issue about the travel of the light photon into that area. But we have an area. This shows something that is being built right now. We're starting right now in the US with the Battelle Institute on 5-kilometer networks. But Google, IBM, Microsoft, Rackspace, and Amazon are working together to create this network. What it does is, as we know, we cannot put repeaters into a photon stream, because a repeater would actually break the fragile photon. So you need to have something what we refer to as trust node, where you physically decrypt and re-encrypt and reassure that the whole data goes on. So you can have hubs built in. We call them trusted node because these nodes need to lie in an environment that can be trusted. Because if someone has to do some repair, there's a danger. Typically, an ideal environment is an army, again, which can protect the whole environment, or physically protect the trusted node, or basically an infrastructure provider or an internet provider who can assure that these locations are securely managed. What is available today? We have as a basic quantum random number generators. These are the only truly random numbers that you can generate based on the laws of physics. I'm not going to go into details. You have quantum key distribution, which are systems like you've seen before. And you have classical encryption products existing today that have a hook in to be able to accept quantum-based random number keys. These things are available today, whereas a quantum computer is not available today. So this will protect you against the download or the decryption of data if your data needs to be protected longer than 5 years. Conclusions of this: use a physics-based true random number generator. I think this could be generalized. This is device independent. We see more and more requests for these products, which we also provide. This is the principle or the basis of being able to build such a system. Quantum computers will have a major impact on public key cryptography. Strategies to deploy quantum safe cryptography infrastructure should be looked at now. You should need to look at analyzing the data, assess the danger, and then act accordingly. And solutions based on quantum technologies do exist today. Not the quantum computer, but protection for quantum computers do exist. Thank you very much.